So you mentioned you had tried the more traditional college approach before. Can you talk about how that went?
Yeah, so right out of high school, like most high schoolers, we applied to college and you attend. And I got into a couple of different ones, but my family felt like Salem State University, it changed to university while I was attending, was the best suitable approach for me because it was close by, but not too far, and
Mhm.
I had free tuition. So I started off there with the room, the board, the meal plan, the everything you can think of that we as college students think is going to be what we need to succeed. I failed miserably. I probably made it through the first year by the skin of my teeth.
Mhm.
And like just based off of like the finances and like my family's finances at the time, all of the money just wasn't there, and that was always a stressor for me and my family.
Yeah.
I attended sophomore year, just the first semester, and I couldn't continue because I didn't have enough money to put in for the second semester. But not only that, I'm sure my grades were again just by like the skin of my teeth because I just simply wasn't invested as much as I was when I did SNHU. And part of the reason is finances. And then my second year, I couldn't even afford to live on campus because that was like when we think of college and we're applying in high school, we're thinking, oh, tuition is what we have to worry about. Tuition was the least of my problems when I attended college. It was the room, it was the meal plan, it was the books, it was all those extra expenses, which was what sent it through the roof. So I eventually had to stop attending the college. I actually didn't even have the money to pay back for me to transfer my credits to SNHU. So when I transferred, I started from scratch.
Wow, that's a tough one. And I know that the other fees really do add up, and it's
Yeah.
not always clear when you first get there that that's the case.
Mhm.
So, how did you hear about this new thing? What attracted you to it?
Okay, so I attended Match Charter Public High School,
Mhm.
and one of my friends, we were really good friends in high school, and then after high school we still remained good friends, but like life was happening, so we were adults in adult world, so we didn't get to connect as often. She told me that she was doing Match Beyond. That's what Duet was called before it changed to Duet.
Gotcha.
And when at first when she told me, I'm like, because as soon as I heard college, I thought all the fees, all the problems coming back. It was like PTSD. So
I hear you.
then I ran into another high school friend who told me he was also doing it. So I'm like, two people must. So I got the information from him. I don't know why I didn't get the information from my close friend. And then I called Mike Larson. He's the CEO of Duet.
Yep.
So back then it was like way smaller because I started in the associates program. Um, and everything just made so much sense. The tuition was affordable, and on top of that, most of it was, if not all of it, was covered by grants. And every excuse that I had, I don't have a computer. We'll get you a computer. I don't have childcare. Oh, we'll have childcare on campus. I'm even if we were hungry, every obstacle was never an obstacle when I started that program. So it kind of made the complaining and the what are you waiting for not existent, which
Sure.
pretty much took all the stressors of being in school and progressing my life off my shoulders. So it just made so much sense and it fit so perfectly in my life that I just knew like this is what I have to do. This is what I need to do because all the other problems that I said were stressors before were no longer stressors.
That's great. So you get into the program pretty different, I'm thinking, than college before and the way it's structured. Is that what you felt?
Yes, it was so much different. Like in college before, it was like a whole bunch of talking and acting like you're listening, but not really listening, independent reading, being um basically being the captain of your own education because if you don't have study habits and you don't have time to study, it's done. But in this program, I had a tutor who worked with me specifically, other students as well, but I like to always try to find one that had more time for me. And each project wasn't like stuck in a book and go read chapter 50 through 80 and figure out the answer. It was like pretty specific readings that were cut out, clipped to the project. So you read the project and it's directly linked to what you're supposed to master and achieve. So it took all of the research and the expensive books and the time consuming work out of the college process by making it more accessible. And each competency, it kind of gave you like a confidence boost, because as soon as you see that bar getting longer, you know, like, oh, I'm that much closer to finishing college. Whereas conventional college, you only know when you visit the registrar's office, or you only know at the end of the semester after finals. And then you're like, okay, I guess I got this number. I need that number. And it's too much math. Whereas this is a visual representation of this is how far I am from graduation.
Right.
And then on top of that, you felt really good when you got to hear what your professors felt like you could fix. And like, that was even better for someone like me, because I often in high school as well, like we're even like molded to feel like our first project isn't our final. So why in
Right.
college is it now like everything we submit has to be a final draft, whereas we're from secondary school and middle school and high school, we're told, okay, submit your rough draft and then you'll submit your final draft. So I like that we were able to never fail. Like, okay, this might be a rough draft, but you get to try again until you pass. And that was empowering, because oftentimes in college, we think like we only have a hit or miss.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you get that one chance at the final exam, and if you have a bad
Yeah.
day, tough. Yeah. And so just real quick on that. So like the tests or the assessments or the projects, the way you complete them and the way you get feedback, how did those feel? I mean, was it like did you feel like it got at your competency in a way that a test didn't?
I actually felt like it was so much more. Like, I feel like I learned more in those projects and competencies than I actually did than sitting in a lecture hall. And that was simply because like the knowledge was given to me. It was up to me to absorb it and then write about what I took from it. And based on that, they can grade how well I understood it. And then so for me, that felt like, okay, so if you felt like I understood this amount and I just need to go back and understand that amount, then I feel like I'm absorbing more because you're exposing me to the material more.
Yep, that makes sense. So you went through your associate degree pretty quickly.
Yes, I did my associate's degree in a year and a half.
Wow. Well, congrats for that. And then I
Thank
can't remember, but did you go on to a bachelor's or?
I did do my bachelor's. The bachelor's took a little bit longer, but I still did it in like 3 years.
Wow. Well,
So,
that's awesome.
yeah.
Congrats. And again, I should have looked at this before, but how did it help you in the workforce? I think Mike told me maybe you were in healthcare or.
I actually do. I'm an ABA specialist full time in Boston Public Schools. I
Oh yeah,
also
that's it.
do,
Yep, yep.
yeah.
Right.
I
He did tell me
also
that.
am an in-person ABA behavioral technician for kids who have autism. I do that as my second job, and it's helped me so much because when I first started doing duet, I actually worked at MIT in the cafeteria. And
Mm-hmm.
then after I applied to duet, they have a program there that helps you find a job in a career path.
Mm-hmm.
So someone there who I previously knew, he worked for Duet at the time. He was telling me how there was a school in Boston that was hiring a paraprofessional. And I'm like, wow, I'm great with kids. I got my own kid. Let's go for it. So then I eventually became a paraprofessional just by even being introduced to that program. And I worked as a paraprofessional my whole career throughout Duet. So from the AA to the BA. And then as soon as I finished the BA, I transitioned to a full-time ABA specialist.
Wow, that's great. That's this is the best case scenario. What year was that about? Just I didn't ask you any of that.
So I started working as a para in 2015. Because it's
Okay.
probably been like 5 or 6 years now. And I started Duet like a few months before that in 2015. So I truly feel like that's what kickstarted my life. Like,
Yeah. And when did you complete the bachelor's? Was when it,
I completed the bachelor's in June, so 2020.
all right, weird time to finish college, but congrats again.
It was
Um,
so weird.
and I didn't ask, I'm sorry, where you live and how old you are.
I live in Boston, Massachusetts, and I'm 29.
All
I
right.
just turned 29 a few weeks ago, actually.
Well, happy belated birthday. It's
Thank
better
you.
than 30. But when you're as old as I am, 29, I would do anything to be turning 30. So just real quick, and I'll let you go. So anything I didn't ask about the experience or just kind of the way it's different? I mean, everything you gave us was just gold. It's a great story. But anything we didn't get into that you'd want to say?
Yes, I will like to say is that I'm a full-time mom. At one time, I was a full-time student and I worked full-time and I worked two
Mm.
jobs all simultaneously while doing SNHU. And that truly was the most helpful process of obtaining a college education and still handling life on the back end, because I probably would never have been able to complete it if it was far more time consuming and conventional.
Well, Sarema, thank you for a book that's about time. That was a lot of full time. And,
Yeah.
I just having one kid at home through some of the pandemic, I can't even imagine how hard that was. But congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Well, this book will be out this summer or early fall, and I think it will help make a difference, and we'll get you in there.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Cheers. Thanks
All
again.
right.